recording on this and start the backup recording. Zach, just so you know, I double record everything because I can be forgetful and I have messed up before. So, okay.
Welcome to being human.
True. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Transcending Humanity. We are currently on episode 24. I just want to remind you, if you love the show on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That helps a lot. If you are on podcast platforms, follow us, leave us a review. We're starting to we now have 2 whole reviews on Apple Podcasts. So yeah, we're getting there.
Woo woo.
I want the show to grow. So help us grow. Usually we put that at the end of the episode, but you know what? I'm putting it at the beginning of the episode. So yeah, we're doing that. This week, we don't really have a whole plan beyond, I wanted to bring we have a combination of new and old, not so much old, but new and repeat faces, I suppose that is. And just for people to just kind of talk about who they are, what they do. How about everybody just go around and introduce yourselves in alphabetical order. So Erica, Rachel, Rylie, Zach.
Hi, I'm Erica Vogel. Nice to meet you. Was that what you're looking for? Sorry.
Just a quick intro on like who you are.
Okay. All right. We'll just do a quick jump cut here. Hi, I'm Erica Vogel. I am not an original cast member, but not too long after it launched with this wonderful podcast. I am a senior product manager in financial technology working for Capital One and a vocal advocate in and out of the workplace. Trans, she, her, hers pronouns.
Rachel.
All right. I have a tendency to interrupt folks, and so I always will like take a beat so that I'm not cutting folks off.
I do too.
My name is Rachel Hansen, cisgender woman, use she, her pronouns. I'm kind of a project addict. So what I'm working on right now, outside of my regular day job, I am a podcast producer. I work on a couple of shows. I'm also launching a magazine. It's launching on October 1st. It's called Sound Sorceresses, which is a quarterly magazine to elevate women working in audio storytelling. And I'm really excited about it. In my full-time day job, like the one that actually gives me health insurance and all of that really fun stuff, I'm the associate director for Gateway Student Services at Metropolitan State University in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I'm also kind of just your friendly neighborhood mid-level university administrator. So if you have questions about higher ed in the United States, then I'm your person for that.
Great.
Rylie.
Hey guys, my name is Rylie. Rylie Flynn. I like Erica am a not like an original cast member, but I am also a late shortly after joining the OG cast. I'm a openly trans man. I've been transitioning for 11 plus years at this point. I work currently in like customer service hospitality as an assistant operations manager. So if you're ever in Cincinnati and you're visiting the Cincinnati Museum Center, let me know. I can help you guys out. I'm trying to work on being more openly out in the workplace. That's something I've been working on this past year personally, as I kind of took a hard stealth turn for a long time after college, and so I'm just kind of in the process of learning how to be an openly trans person in the workplace.
Awesome.
We love that.
And Zach, it's your turn.
Yeah, so first up, I want to thank you, Vanessa, for having me on. So my name is Zach Baratkin. I am a Middle Eastern male wearing a white t-shirt with the words "Democracy for All" in red letters for the organization I work for. That is a that is a student-led voting rights intersectional working rights group. And behind me is a picture of a Keith Haring painting, blue background, white dog, and my walls are off-color yellow. And what I do is I work at a organization called Sydney, the Center for the Independence of the Disabled, and I advocate for the transition of senior citizens from nursing homes back into their communities. And I coach some of those people who have transitioned about 2-3 months out of the nursing home. And then I also tell nursing homes about our program, Open Doors, that helps people with disabilities and people in nursing homes transition back into their community, so they can make their own decisions, basically.
That's pretty important.
That's what I do. And yeah, I always like to say that I'm working with a forgotten population, because during the height of the pandemic, you heard large numbers of deaths occur in nursing homes, so they were a largely forgotten population.
It's something that I think a lot of us don't think about, but already that population can be forgotten about by even their own family members. And when the pandemic hit and people weren't going anywhere, and especially like for health lockdowns, didn't even cross my mind. So that bringing people back into the world that is an amazing service you're providing. That's like, seriously, go you.
Yeah.
We definitely want to hear more about that. And everyone knows me. I'm Vanessa. I'm the host. I am the person that does the editing and stuff in social media and whatever. So, proud trans woman. So, to kind of spur off conversations, last week we talked about some current events, and this week there's less trans news, it's always good when there's no trans news, unless it's good trans news. But we have the whole Lauren Boebert thing going on. The family values party of the Republicans, and it's one of those things where she got caught in not only vaping in front of kids in the theater, but getting a little frisky with her Democratic date, who owns a bar.
Giving a little handy in the middle of the performance.
Giving a handy with her Democratic date who owns a gay bar, or maybe not so much a gay bar. I don't want to say that incorrectly, but they do hold it. It is gay friendly, and they hold drag shows. So this woman who campaigns against drag and saying that drag is grooming and this, that, and the other, is committing a sex crime in a theater. So
that's right.
It's Pee Wee Herman went down for doing that around adults, and she's doing it around kids. Yeah, quite a few people. So I'm really, really hoping that she is held accountable for it. Do I think it's going to happen? Fuck no. But it'd be really nice if it would. Imagine if a Democrat did that. People use AOC as an example. If she was in the theater doing that, like, she would be hung up by her toenails by the Republican Party. But the Republicans are just kind of brushing it off. They're more worried about John Fetterman wearing a hoodie on the floor of the Senate. So
that's such a big problem.
Yeah,
like Obama's tan suit. It's a big crisis.
I loved his tan suit. He looked.
That's a great suit.
Obama is sexy.
Yeah,
everybody in that family is just like amazing.
Totally.
And the Republicans are just jealous because they have the turtle and the just creepy old whatever. So that's what's been going on. If you're listening to this in the future, that's what's been going on this week. In Ohio, we are getting closer. I'm starting to see the signs for it. The Republican Party here tried to change the state constitution to make it so voter-led, citizen-led initiatives would have to have a 60% vote to pass, minority rule instead of majority rule. And they also added on a bunch of other like things just to make it even harder to get those citizen-led initiatives even on the ballot. And that failed spectacularly. So now it's still 50% plus one. And the reason that went on there is for our November ballot, which is going to be the abortion rights in Ohio. Other states have put it on the citizen ballots as well. And the people overall, the majority of people support abortion. The women's right to choose, bodily autonomy. And Republicans are terrified. That's why they put this entire thing on the ballot in August, was to stop it, because it's probably going to pass at about 55, 56% in Ohio. It's a pretty red state, but that's a pass. And they knew that. That's why they put the 60% thing. So that's the current events here in my state. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I live in a very red area, so I see a bunch of vote no on issue 1. It's going to be issue 1 on the November ballot, and there's issue 1 on the August ballot. So in August you had to vote no. In November you have to vote yes. So, but it's, yeah, that's what's going on in my state. What's going on? Anything interesting, wild, annoying, fun going around with any of you in where you live, or any news that you've seen that's really kind of like piquing your interest?
So I was at a bill signing ceremony today where Governor Kathy Hochul signed 3 bills to expand voting rights.
What state are you in?
New York.
New York. Awesome. Awesome. That's huge.
Yeah.
So,
Really, the bills emphasize civic education. They emphasize voter registration and issues with absentee ballots. So it was a good day for democracy. I don't want to call it a rare day, but it was a good day for democracy.
we need wins, and that is
Yep.
definitely
Yeah.
a win, especially with across the country where voter rights are being suppressed left and right. So it's terrifying. So thank you,
Yeah.
Zach. That's some amazing news. It's good to have some good news here. Yay.
So in a perhaps odd twist, I think sometimes good news, at least where I'm at in Minnesota, is that nothing happened. The county that I live in is having kind of an increased homeless population of folks who are actually, so I'm also an elected official through the end of this school year on my local school board. So as a school board member, I get really excited when people are coming to our community for our schools. If they are experiencing homelessness, right? Like that's a cool reputation to have as somebody, right? Like, hey, these guys can help me get stability. That's where I'm gonna go. But my spouse actually works for county administration where we live, and they were entertaining a proposal to increase like long-term housing spaces for unhoused families. And a bunch of NIMBY folks showed up at the board meeting. And for folks who maybe are not familiar with the acronym, right? NIMBY is not in my backyard, right? Like, I support the homeless. I don't want them here with me though. Like, no way. So anyway, a bunch of those folks showed up, but used their like kind of Vanessa, what you were talking about, right-wing family values, to say, well, I'm a Christian, but I just, right, the crime, you guys, think about the crime. And to me, very gratefully, our county commissioners opted to not vote it down, but to table it, and to also call citizens out on weaponizing their Christianity in such a disgusting fashion. And I was really excited about that. Sometimes the no, right, tabling something is the best thing that you can have happen.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, I suppose, right?
Right. Like, I mean, I don't know, man, right? Like, if you're saying, oh, I have Christian values, but, well, then no, you don't.
No. It is pretty much the opposite of Christianity to not want to help the homeless. I'm pretty sure that's what Jesus was all about, but if
I think you might be right.
he existed, so. And your neighbor, Wisconsin, aren't they doing something weird with like the Supreme Court there where they're trying to oust the justice so something doesn't get passed?
Yeah, so yep. Um, so I believe that this is also related to abortion rights.
Yeah, I believe so.
There's a new justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, who was right, like democratically appointed using the correct process, all the, blah blah blah, all those things. But this justice did replace a left, or not a left, sorry, a right-leaning justice. The new one is left. It was starting to look like Wisconsin might be moving a little bit more towards like purple,
Mhm.
right? With abortion rights. And another thing that's big in Minnesota that used to be big in Wisconsin and is not anymore, is organized labor and labor unions. And they're kind of moving back towards like state employees being in a labor union that actually could do something to protect you. And yeah, folks in power are not happy about it, right? Like, why would you want people to have fair employment and control over their bodies? That would just,
Because it's
what's
all
that?
about control. But
Right.
the Republicans want control. I swear they
Right. So
they,
I don't know that they'll be successful, but yeah, it's a little bit weird to be living right next door to that right
it
now.
is. I swear, just the Republicans have like some like trolls locked up in a basement somewhere that are just thinking of the most devious just shit to just throw on the population and see what sticks. And it's
Right.
just because things like that, like, oh no, we no longer have the majority on our Supreme Court. So let's find a way to flip her out of there, even though she was democratically elected. And
Right. Also,
it's
the guy that they were proposing did not have a law degree from an accredited law school, so he couldn't have been appointed anyway.
they just don't care. They just don't
No.
care. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Truth just doesn't matter to them. Well, truth matters to them in what they say, but I don't know. I'm not going to soapbox, but yeah, I remember seeing that, and since you're so close to Wisconsin, I had to get your input on it. So hey.
It's relatively quiet here in the area surrounding the nation's capital where I live. I live in Northern Virginia. Virginia is a purple state with Richmond and Nova, as we call it, being blue. Recent events to report is, I think, most of the counties in Northern Virginia, their school boards have refused to enact the governor's anti-trans school board legislation, forcing them to out trans students. All of that same nonsense we're seeing all over the country. So it's really nice to see, especially as a person who has a child that is a student in one of these counties, to know that people like me are welcome, as well as young people that might identify as trans or non-binary, or might already know that they're gay or lesbian, being able to be out and open at school. So even though the state is actively working against that, that does not mean that your local county has to follow through. And that's pretty much all I have to report from the district area.
Common sense you're starting to see that those stories popping up across the country where these states are enacting laws to suppress trans people, to forcibly out them to their parents, to endanger the lives of trans kids, honestly. I mean, I know I've said it over and over again that if I would have come out when my dad was alive, he most likely would have shot me. So and you have that with a lot of kids too, which is just absolutely horrible. We're born this way.
Yeah.
It's like having blue eyes or brown eyes, it's just part of life.
You cannot legislate us away. That's not going to change anything.
Even if you eradicated all of us, more will be born. I don't know.
I know. If straight people want to stop having LGBTQ kids, they should stop breeding.
I know. I mean, straight people should stop reading anyways, because we are way overpopulated.
No,
but
we do need
Sorry.
some of that. We do need some of that, but
yeah,
not as much.
not as much, but here goes Vanessa with the eugenics bullshit. Sorry, listeners. I'm really not that horrible of a person. I'm just a moderately horrible person. So, Rylie, I saw you waving your hand. You got something?
Oh no, sorry, no, my speaker's been my Bluetooth has been acting up, so it's been cutting in and out, and I've had to reconnect it a couple times.
Anything fun going on in Cincy?
Nothing too exciting right now. I mean, being part of the museum environment, I can talk a little bit about like how my boss went to like, so my company does museums, aquariums, zoos, and things like that. So the American Zoological Association had like their whole gathering, I guess like their annual gathering in Columbus last week. And so like a bunch of my bosses went up there for that. And so I know Columbus is a huge LGBTQ friendly area. And I was actually kind of hoping that I was going to get asked to go to that, but and spend some time up in Columbus and see what was going on there. But maybe next year.
Oh, dang.
I would say, especially because Columbus, I think, is like considered in like the top 5 or so Pride events each year.
I've heard it's huge. I've heard it's absolutely huge. So
Mhm.
Really?
I haven't been to it.
Oh.
I need to. I mean, it's for both of us, it's like a little over an hour away. So
Yeah, it's not that far.
no. Zach, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want to hear more
Sure.
about what you do and more about everything. So since you're new here, we're going to kind of laser in on you. And because what you were telling us, I mean, one, you have a Keith Haring poster behind you, which I fucking love Keith Haring. And I mean, a lot of us are in the Clarissa Explains It All generation too. So, we have that going on. But talk to us more about like what you do and the impact and all that wonderful stuff that your organization does, because this is seriously cool.
Yeah, so my background is in advocacy, and I started in college volunteering for candidates, local candidates. So I volunteered for people like Bill de Blasio when he was running for mayor back in the day. I volunteered for people like Corey Johnson when they were running for representative of the 3rd district, and they actually represented Chelsea, which has always been a very LGBTQ type of area. But then I started volunteering for people like AOC. My first job was with a nonprofit called Disability Rights New York. And aside from making sure elections were accessible for people with disabilities, one of the things I did was start a program called Change Begins at Home, which was about voting rights, disability, and anything from the African American community to the Asian American Pacific Islander community to the LGBTQ community, a representative from those communities, be it an activist, be it a business owner, be it a congressional representative, would come on and we would discuss the barriers not only to being LGBTQ, but the voting rights they face that are in line with their with who they are as a trans person. So they face a double reduction in rights, if you will, because they're trans and because that's just what they're going through. And this gave people a chance to have a platform to discuss their personal experiences, and it would lead to different collaborations. So it would lead to collaborations on legislation. It would lead to collaborations on projects within the company, so things of that nature. And it still continues today.
A lot of intersectionality, it sounds like.
Yes.
Which is very important. I mean, society in general is extremely ableist. And I know I myself am very guilty of being ableist. I'm sure everybody is at one time or another in their lives. So and in my case, in that I just don't think about it enough. So it's wonderful to have. I mean, people shouldn't have to call it out for people to understand it, but that's society for you. But so having ways to get people to have their voices out there, and you're doing some amazing work. And
Thank you.
yeah, it like kind of gives me shivers. So, and some major volunteer things too, which is cool. So, but
Yeah. I was
um
also part of the March on Washington.
oh really?
I went with Generation Vote, which is the shirt I'm wearing. That's the name of the organization I'm working with.
Trying to get people to actually show up to the polls.
Yes.
That's our thing. Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. We are all seem to be a little bit more hesitant to get to the polls than the boomers. We know the boomers are going to vote, and we know a lot of them are going to vote red. I am very confident. I think we've talked about this before, Erica. I think is you and I, that we could flip this country pretty easily if people showed up. Because the other side don't quite have the numbers that they think they do. So I had recently, if anyone follows my Instagram, I'd recently kind of called out some realtors for being rather bigoted. One of them saying, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with the Confederate flag." I'm like,
What?
yeah, there
What?
is. She's like, it's based in history, and people fly it for Southern pride. I'm like, it is a flag that is based around slavery and racism. And then another one like called me a bigot for calling out people for being bigots. Like I just full on said, at this point, if you still support Trump, you're bigoted. And she's like, well, you're a bigot for calling us bigots. Like, okay, well, that doesn't work
That's
that
not
way.
really how that works.
No, it's not. I don't know where I was going with this. I just kind of tangented it. Tangented it. Is that even a word?
It
I
is
don't know.
now.
It is now.
Tangential.
Tangential. Thank you. See, but yeah, whatever I was talking about is that's the point I was trying to make, and I have no clue. Maybe it's all the pain meds I'm on. I don't know. And sitting in this chair is so uncomfortable because yeah. But
I will
cool.
say, as like the resident Southern gal on this podcast, I believe I am from Atlanta. I grew up in the South.
Mhm.
Sure, there is a whole culture, a whole kind of good old boy culture going on down there that is on some level innocuous. But if you are flying the Confederate flag or the rebel flag, you cannot divorce yourself and that flag from the history that it represents, especially in a city that houses, I think, one of the largest monuments to MLK, for example. You can't grow up there without knowing about the civil rights movement. You can't grow up there without knowing the Confederate generals and what they did. Flying that, what flying that flag means, regardless of how you dress it up. And if you need to come up with excuses to fly a flag that, at the end of the day, promotes racism, owning people as human capital, you got a lot of deep work doing if you don't think that you're aligned with that. That's what you're representing. You can be a person who lives in the South that enjoys pickup trucks and certain kinds of beer without displaying racist images and supporting that lifestyle. You can.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
I mean, didn't the Confederacy surrender in Atlanta?
I believe
I
so.
believe they did.
Yeah, that was the seat of government at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what brought that up here was someone had posted a picture on the west side of Cleveland, which Cleveland is a pretty blue area, but someone posted a picture of a house that had an American flag and a Confederate flag, and they asked, "Would you want to move in next door to this house?" And buyers don't want to. It's my point. What I commented then is bigotry lowers property values. because people don't want to move in next to that. And I'm willing to bet that I obviously haven't seen a study on that, but I'm willing to bet that a study that went on to looking at bigoted propaganda in property does lower property values, because a lot of people don't want to move in next door to that. There was a house right down the street from me. I live in a place where houses usually sell in 3 to 4 days. It's because our school district here is amazing. It's one of the ones that like you want to move into the school district. And there's a house a couple doors down that was for sale for about 9 months. There's nothing wrong with the house. It was priced accordingly, but next door was a giant Trump flag. And it is the only house in the neighborhood that would not sell. It took 9 months for it to sell. So it's like things that make you go, I wonder, I wonder. So
Things that make you go,
yeah. So anyone have any exciting projects coming up that they want to talk about, stuff they want to plug?
Obviously, continuing to be a regular on this podcast is one of my favorite things. I do a lot of work locally to support, well, locally and nationally. As a person in tech, I am a member of the Out in Tech community as a mentor to college students that are part of the LGBTQ community and those early in the workforce, helping them find their way. You know, it's a part of workplace equity, right? So if you are in tech and you are out, I would recommend joining that organization. You might have me as a mentor. I'm also working on a book right now.
Really?
I'm about a third of the way through the first draft. It's called Advice from Your Trans Auntie, because I get asked so many questions about life as transgender. So I decided that I should just write about it. Other than that, I stay pretty busy in and out of work with workplace equity, as I called out. I just came back from, well, virtually attending the Out and Equal conference, which is it's the largest workplace equity conference for the LGBTQ community in the world, with over 5,000 attendees. And it's a great experience. If your company is not affiliated with them, not a partner with them, you should be aiming towards that, right? They will help you set up your ERGs. They will help you set up affinity groups. They will help you with trainings, whether it's bringing in people from PFLAG or whatever, to help educate your fellow employees on how to create equitable spaces for the LGBTQ community. And there's a couple other projects I'm working on that I can't quite say yet. I'll be able to announce those in about 2 weeks.
Minecraft and Mario Kart.
Minecraft and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a fun conversation we were having. That is not, I mean, while I am spending time in Minecraft and Mario Kart with my kiddo and on my own, I am actually working on something pretty cool that I can talk about soon.
It was our super secret public conversation. So
but I've had to sign an NDA, so I cannot talk. This is as much as I can say.
We shall not pry any further, but
yes.
Without brown nosing up to you too much, I know if it's something that you're involved in, it's going to be amazing, because I have so much respect for you. You're one of you're a human that I respect more than most other humans. So
well, I certainly appreciate that. Thank you for that. Yeah, and it's a pretty good thing, and I'm sure many people in the community will be interested in supporting it. I am at risk of saying too much, considering this will be on the internet. But yeah, stay tuned. You'll find out more.
Awesome. I am actually looking at turning Transcending Humanity into an LLC. I'm just waiting to get some more work so I can actually afford to pay for the LLC. But hoping to do that starting in October. And I'll be able to, the podcast will still be the podcast, but I also want to turn it into a consulting company for DEI, trans focused, be it small business, large business, whatever. I have so much life experience that I've working with a staffing group that's like, you really need to do this, and we'd like to work with you on it and help you expand. So Transcending Humanity might be becoming a legitimate company here soon. So, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm sure you can apply all that good knowledge you're getting from Lily Zhang's new book.
Yes,
DEI Deconstructed.
Erica posted that she bought Lily Zhang's book, DEI Deconstructed. I'm like, oh, you know what? I should probably buy that too, especially if I'm going to be getting into this stuff because Lily knows, Lily knows DEI. So, and
Yeah, we'll have to talk
wonderful.
about it. Little
Yeah.
book group, maybe.
Me and reading, like I have books like just stacked up over. I have my over on the table next to me. I have my dilators and I have books, and
They go
yeah,
together. You got to just lay
and
there and do the thing. You might as well read.
and a PlayStation controller. So I need to read. That's my point. Is I used to love to read, and now I have the White Women book that I need to finish. I have a book that Taryn told me about that I need to finish, and now I have that, or that I need to even start actually. I have that, but I'm so scatterbrained. I keep blaming everything on my 3-year-old, but the only person I can blame is myself. So because I have plenty of free time at night, and instead I downloaded Baldur's Gate 3, and that's what I spent time designing a new character on that. And
Let's
so
be fair
Important things.
though, like those long-term brain impacts of sleep deprivation are super real. I
Yeah.
also used to love reading before I had kids, and now I can't. It takes me years to
Yeah.
finish the most basic novels. So
I only get 4.5,
You
5
know.
hours of sleep a night. So okay, maybe
Right.
sleep deprivation is a thing.
So
too.
like be kind to yourself.
I don't like being
Having
kind to
little
myself.
kids has a really
I'm
they're
never kind to
wonderful.
myself. I'm so hard on myself. So
Yeah. So knock it off. Be nicer to
Yeah.
yourself.
whatever.
Well, and to build on that, like a lot of stressors in your life, if you're dealing with a lot of stress, the things that you do to take care of yourself fall by the wayside. Like I've
Mhm.
just come through a very stressful 2 or 3 years with my job, and I stopped reading because I didn't have the mental capacity to do it. So, you got to make space for it. If you're not, and you want to let yourself off the hook, it's okay. You're not. It's not like you're never going to read a book again in your life.
It's
But
okay
there's
to
a lot
not
of
be able to
factors that
read.
go with feeling like you have the space to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a question I have for you all. I don't know. I was listening to something or hearing something or something about how the fact that books have endured throughout the ages. And I mean, for like hundreds and hundreds of years, books have still been
Yeah.
one of our primary sources of information. And despite all of the gadgetry and everything, people still read books. And I personally, but like I don't have much experience with audiobooks because my attention span just is never there. And I have no interest in an e-reader. I like actually holding a physical book and turning the pages. Am I crazy in that, or is that something that you guys kind of are into as well?
I am an audiobook person. I've got like a huge library of audiobooks because I like listening to books while I drive or out on walks or running or whatever. But I also have a stack of books on my bedside table right there, things that I'm slowly getting through. I like reading a book. But as like a person in tech, I spend my all day staring at a screen, reading email, Slack, all that stuff. The last thing I want to do is do more of that, frankly. And so e-readers are just something I can't do it. I can't do it.
I can get that.
Yeah.
How about the rest of you? Books or e-readers or audio?
Personally, I do audio for a lot of my stuff. Like I do a lot of podcasts that I listen to mostly, but like I do still enjoy the physical book over the e-reader. I have had a Kindle and it wasn't like horrible, but like it wasn't like my go-to. I definitely like having the physical copy. I like being able to like I know it's not great for the spines, but like wrapping the paperbacks around the cover and being able to like manipulate it however I'm laying so I can read it the most comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a thing. Yeah, I'm a savage. I dog ear pages.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I'm a horrible person. I'm gonna burn, but I also kind of like it
And
makes
also the risk of losing a bookmark is real significant when you have
yeah.
little people in your home.
Well, see, there you go. So And it's my book to dog ear, so I'll dog ear it, but it's I would love to get more into audiobooks, but like because I listen to podcasts a lot when I drive, but the problem is I'm one of those people that you don't want to be driving around because I'll be driving, like I'll be in Akron and all of a sudden I'm home in Massillon and I'm like, okay, where was I during that entire period? Like I missed like a half hour of The Casual Criminalist that I was listening to. And like, what was I doing? Just on autopilot.
Mhm.
So it's great. There she goes. But so yeah.
I do have to say that I have sort of rules for audiobooks because I do listen to them when I'm doing it. I don't just sit around listening to an audiobook typically. I'm usually doing something else. So it has to be something that like if I'm not exactly following it word for word, it's fine. Like if I'm in the car. So I tend to pick like books for fun, sci-fi, fantasy, thrillers, whatever, like where it's just like, if you miss, like, it's fine.
But
Typically when I'm reading the books that I read, like I'm actually reading a book, I'm the kind of person that will read something and be like, wait, let me go back. And like, I need to go back and forth a couple of times and like really want to like be able to quickly go back to a reference point for something that was mentioned earlier in the book. And so things that are not necessarily for fun, I tend to actually read those books because I it's too hard to go track something down in an audiobook.
definitely. Sorry, I have to keep muting my mic because my dog's being a jerk. Well, we are down to pretty much the end here because I know Erica and I both have to go. Does anyone else have anything that they want to just talk about, plug anything really quick at the end of the show? I know it's this is kind of a different show and kind of shorter one than usual, but just wanted to get some faces on here. So
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'm doing a lot. I was also on a podcast about working out or fitness and having a disability. And um on there I talked about how I started rock climbing as a hobby, um, which is going very well. And then so that's just something I do on the side. And then I cook, but yeah, that's pretty much those are the things I do on the side as hobbies. But other than that, my background remains in activism, and I want to continue working with as many groups to try and at least give tools to the next generation to fix the problems that are beyond fixable for my generation at this point.
where can people follow you?
So my only social media handle is LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And LinkedIn is actually why I'm on this podcast in the first place, is because um, you always post such interesting articles or clips on LinkedIn. So I just had to come on your show, and I had to meet you and talk to you.
Well, we are so happy to have you. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. No idea what next week's going to be, news, topic, whatever. I do want to have a drag episode soon. So I need to reach out to Land and Read. And
I actually have a story. If you actually want to do that episode, I actually have a story because my experience with that was early in life.
a drag experience.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
I lived in Chelsea, and there was a place called Lips, and my parents took me and a friend there when I was like 9, 10 years old.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to hear
Yeah.
that story for that episode. So, okay. Well, thanks again for joining us on Transcending Humanity. We will see you next week. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff to help us boost the show. Share stuff. Follow us on the socials. Share our
And
posts.
don't forget that we have a Patreon.
Yes, we have you can donate either through Patreon or through Buzzsprout. Our website has options for both. Um, yeah. Yeah, donate. Thank you, Rachel, for reminding about the donate thing. I'm always like, I need money. I'm always telling people, I need money. And yeah, send us money.
Asking for money
So,
is hard,
it
but
is hard.
we do need money.
We need money. Send money now. Now. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.